Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Off Limits. We have with us today Zoya Hasan, a well-known political scientist, person who has written many books, is very, very active in the political arena in the sense of not active politics, but giving us insights into what is happening. She was the Dean of the School of Social Sciences in Jawaharlal Nehru University. And we are so happy that you've given us the time and joined us today, Zoya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seema, for having me on your show. Thank you very much.
So you have, I also needed to add that Zoya has written extensively on Uttar Pradesh's politics, on the minorities, and is actually the best person we could think of to join us to speak on what is going to happen after the Ram Mandir was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi just a couple of years ago. The social, the communal angle, a lot of that has been discussed, Zoya, but I think what is now really interesting the people is about the political impact that this is going to have on India, particularly the North, on UP. How is it going to really pan out? Is it going to be able to consolidate the votes for the BJP? I'm deliberately not saying Hindu and Muslim votes because I think the electorate of India is far more than that. But is the BJP going to get the votes that it is looking for in the wake of this inauguration?
Well, the inauguration of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya is certainly a very significant and decisive moment in Indian politics, and it is particularly significant for the Bharatiya Janata Party. For a start, it signals the arrival of a Hindu state, and this is something that the Hindu right, the BJP, and the RSS have been working on for decades. So for them, it's a crowning achievement that they've been able to fulfill their promise of building a grand temple in Ayodhya. But what is also significant is that all this has happened, and there is clearly an attempt to establish a new Hinduism, if you will, a Hindutva interpretation of Hinduism with a single God, a single city as the holy city, much like Semitic religion. And all this despite the fact that India is a very diverse society, a diverse democratic secular republic. Now, to your question of whether this will have an impact, it certainly will have an impact on politics, on elections, on the opposition, because BJP can rightly claim that they have fulfilled their promise. And I think its greatest impact will be in the Hindi heartland states. However, the point is that those are states, barring Bihar, where the BJP has reached saturation point, which is to say they have done extremely well. They have swept the elections in the state assembly elections in November, December, and importantly, they did extremely well and won almost 90% of the seats in the 2019 parliamentary elections. I think the interesting question really is what will be the impact of the Pran Pratishtha in other part of the country, which is to say in eastern India, in southern India, and even Maharashtra.
Yes, exactly. So this is an interesting point, Zoya, that they've reached saturation in the kind of the belt that we're looking for, which was really consumed by fervor and where they seem to have drawn the maximum response. Let's take Maharashtra a little bit. Maharashtra is an important state, and while the fervor was evident there, there is also this whole Maratha unrest, and you have this new Maratha leader, and it seems to be cutting into a consolidation of the Hindu vote, as it were, which the BJP would have actually or is looking for. Do you agree with that?
Seema, I think again the interesting thing is that this religious euphoria or Ram Leher and Ram euphoria, certainly it's there, and there's no denying that that it's a spontaneous devotion to Ram, who matters hugely for very large number of Hindus all over the country. But the religious fervor was more evident in BJP-ruled states rather than in the non-BJP states, which suggests that this euphoria was orchestrated, was organized. Now, you made the point about Maharashtra. No doubt Maharashtra has been very much at the center of Hindutva politics for a long time. But again, I think Maharashtra is not like other Hindi heartland states, because there is in Maharashtra a strong opposition. And I think the opposition alliance there of the Congress, NCP, and the Shiv Sena is a very significant force. And the very fact that they had to break two opposition parties to form the government is something that is worth noting. And then, as you pointed out, very rightly pointed out, I think the whole Maratha issue is significant. So therefore, the caste factor is going to be important, and how that plays into this attempt to establish Hindu unity and a Hindu bloc remains to be seen, because after all, the main purpose, the political or electoral purpose of this whole political project is to establish Hindu unity. And it is to establish a Hindu vote. And I think this, again, it's not as though the BJP is going to win new support through this, but it will consolidate its support, and it will be able to neutralize the effects of anti-incumbency in the heartland and possibly in Maharashtra as well.
Right. Going back to the Hindi heartland and taking the two big states of that region, which is UP and Bihar, there seems to be, from the reports that we are getting, a slight difference in the levels, in the decibel levels of support, as it were, for the Ram Mandir. You found a slightly more subdued or not that passionate Bihar as against Uttar Pradesh, which was obviously all completely consumed by the big event. So do you feel that's happening, and is it because of the caste factor that still prevails in Bihar but has ceased to prevail to some extent in UP? I mean, in terms of voting.
I think you've put it very well. There's caste in Bihar, and there's community identity and religious identity in UP. And clearly, the caste identity in Bihar has not been neutralized. And in fact, the announcement of the Bharat Ratna for Karpuri Thakur just the day after this grand inauguration of the Ram Temple in UP is very significant. It actually signals the importance of caste and the importance of caste in Bihar in particular, because they are trying to, through the Bharat Ratna, which is of course important, and it was a significant recognition of someone who played a very important part in the promotion of backward classes and the recognition of backward classes. But the very fact that it happened just exactly the day after is significant and is a pointer to the challenges that face the BJP in UP, in Bihar, in contrast to UP, where I think the Ram fervor is at its highest. And there's no doubt, and you and I are from UP and we are from the Awadh region. We are really from, if you will, from that part of UP, which is where Ram is so central. So we are we are aware of the importance of Ram, the significance of Ram, and that has been evident, in fact, in the thousands and thousands of people who are now coming for darshan from within UP after the inauguration. They were not able to come on the day of the inauguration. So certainly, I think UP is different from almost any other state as far as the Ram Janambhoomi issue is concerned. And yeah. So yes, there is a difference between UP and Bihar. And I think you were also right in pointing out, from whatever reports one has been reading or listening to, that that the Ram fervor was not on the same scale in Bihar as it was in UP.
It's interesting, I mean, we have some news which comes out from the YouTubers, many of whom have been roaming around in the streets of UP and trying to do independent reports. And some of these reports have spoken to the Dalits in UP. And the Dalits who are very clearly supporting Mayawati even now, and are speaking out very loudly for education, for progress, and sort of not standing, not getting consumed by the general euphoria for the temple. So they are the ones that are standing out in UP is again the Dalit. But again, it's the Dalit who very proudly, there's that young boy's video where he says, yes, I am a Chamar, and says so many things. He is so close, and that whole vote is still very close to Mayawati. So, and Mayawati seems to be close to the BJP. So it gets neutralized there, does it?
I think the Dalit vote in UP is divided between support for the BJP and a continuing support for Mayawati and BSP. But the fact that BJP has succeeded in dividing the Dalit vote is important, and to that extent, and also I think again in central UP and in the Awadh region that I know better than other parts of UP, clearly Ram matters a great deal to Dalits in that whole region of Awadh. So, and that is where BJP has been able to break into the Dalit vote. So there is a certain penetration, a certain cultural penetration by the BJP in among Dalits and of course among OBCs in UP. I think the BJP strategy of dividing caste in order to establish a larger overarching Hindu unity is very interesting, because they've clearly not been able to win over all of Dalits or all of OBCs, but they have won significant chunks or segments of both groups within the Hindu umbrella. And I think the Ram Janambhoomi and the Ayodhya template will help them to further mobilize these segments within, under the Hindu umbrella.
Right. It's interesting. I'm going to stay on UP and Bihar for a minute more, Zoya, because it's interesting from what you've discussed and what we've been talking about. It's obviously we're talking the caste penetrating through the consolidation and UP not. But what about, but both these parties have very strong, both these states have very strong regional parties. It's not just a state like Madhya Pradesh where it's just Congress versus BJP. You have Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad Yadav's party in Bihar, and you have Akhilesh Yadav, supposedly the main opposition in UP. So has the opposition, do you feel, has it played any role in cutting through the consolidation? Or is it more active in Bihar and less active in UP? And does that play a role? Or is it mainly the caste and the social factor?
I think that's a very important question, Seema, because in Bihar, the opposition has been more effective, notwithstanding the more recent, some recent differences in the India bloc, but whereas in UP, I think opposition unity is work in progress, because clearly, I mean, there is the Samajwadi Party, which is extremely important, and then there's the BSP, and there's the Congress, which has really which has very small or very limited support in UP. But interestingly, in Bihar, I think even as we speak, opposition unity is holding, and the BJP is making a strong effort to break that unity. The Bharat Ratna for Karpuri Thakur is part of that effort, and trying to once again win over Nitish Kumar. That is, despite all that, I think there is certainly, certainly the RJD, the Congress, and the left, they are most definitely together. There's some uncertainty, but I say that quite carefully. There's some uncertainty about JDU, but I'm for the moment not convinced that Nitish Kumar is going to break away and join and once again or yet again join the BJP, because what does he stand to gain from joining the BJP at this juncture, apart from the fact that his legitimacy and credibility would be completely shredded? That is, whatever is left of his credibility would be completely shredded. So I think he would be much better off staying with the India bloc. Now, as to UP, clearly, I think the Congress has to understand the limits of its support in UP, and it should not be making huge demands. So I think there has to be much greater accommodation on the part of both the Samajwadi Party and the Congress. The possibility of a pre-poll alliance with BSP seems to be not on the cards. But one cannot rule out the possibility of a post-poll alliance with BSP. But I think UP is, I mean, you see, as far as opposition bloc is concerned, I think it has been well known. It's well known that there are difficulties confronting this alliance in Bengal, in UP, in Punjab, in these three states, and Delhi to some extent, but principally in these three bigger states, the alliance is floundering. And that has so much to do with the very uneasy relationship between Congress and regional parties in all of these states, because all the regional parties are really have, in a way, built upon the Congress base. So most of them, either they are breakaways from the Congress, or they have taken over the Congress base. And now with the Congress attempting a revival, and there are signs of revival thanks to the Bharat Jodo Yatra and now the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, which is attracting considerable support everywhere. Now, the great irony is that you and I and political analysts and concerned citizens have been very critical of the Congress that it's not engaged in ground level mobilization. Now that they are doing ground level mobilization, the opposition parties, their own friends, are none too happy about it, because they fear that Congress revival is likely to affect their chances. So it's a very complex situation. But I think in the end, the opposition bloc will probably come together, because most of them do realize, perhaps not enough, that there are very high stakes, and what is at stake is nothing less than democracy and the Constitution. And if you want to save democracy and save the Constitution, they have to come together.
So it's interesting, at this moment, now that we're talking about the opposition as well, there is a certain, what should I say, a certain kind of, both the parties, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress, seem to have thrown what they say an ideological plank into the political arena. Both are saying it's not related to the elections, but both are going to be using it heavily for the elections. This is, of course, the Ram Mandir on the BJP side and the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, through which Rahul Gandhi and the Congress are trying to spin a new an alternative narrative, which focuses on economic issues, on justice, on rights, etc., etc. And as it moves, we'll be hearing more about what they are going to spell out just before the elections. Now, in that kind of a situation, do you think that the Congress is going to be able to succeed of cutting into what really is, something, what to say, opium for the masses, misquoted right here, cutting into that with this narrative of economy and joblessness and rights?
You're absolutely right. What we are now witnessing is are two narratives. There's the BJP narrative, and then there is the opposition narrative led by the Congress. And the Congress and other opposition parties declining to participate in the Ayodhya temple inauguration was a signal, was clearly an ideological signal, because most of these opposition parties are not anti-Hinduism. Most of them would very happily visit temples and would happily participate in religious programs. But they did not go for the inauguration because they saw this as a political event, which it certainly was. So therefore, what we are seeing now is really a conflict between two ideas, between two ideologies. Now, whether Congress will succeed in cutting into the BJP narrative, I think that's a difficult challenge, because Congress can fight the BJP, but fighting Ram is not that easy. And the way in which BJP has been able to meld religion and politics in on their advantage is something that is difficult to deal with, because they're not just fighting a political party. They are fighting a party which has appropriated religion, and in a country where religion matters a great deal, it is difficult. But it's difficult, but not impossible. And I do think for that, there are two issues here. One is the issue of vision and ideology, and the other is the issue of mobilization on the ground. Because it's not enough to have an ideology. That ideology has to be communicated to the people, and that communication has to happen through mobilization. Now, this and that I think the Congress is doing. Now, I would think that other opposition parties too need to do much greater mobilization on the ground. They are focusing, the rest of the opposition is focusing mainly on seat sharing and seat adjustment. Now, that's extremely important. But at the same time, just seat arithmetic is not going to be able to defeat the BJP in the new situation that it has created, and the new political situation that is created post Ayodhya temple inauguration.
Right. So we are really looking at very uncertain weeks and days ahead. We are only sure of the fact that these two events are happening and both are creating narratives. A last question, since the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra is going to be going into West Bengal, so I would like to end our conversation with that. Mamata Banerjee has made it very clear that she doesn't want, she's not going to give more than 2 seats. Just exactly taking off from where you left off, it's all about seat adjustments and how to get it. But isn't the fact that the left parties are, I mean, for whatever it exists or whatever little presence they have in West Bengal, they're close to the Congress. Is that going to play a major role in ensuring that this thing doesn't cement, or is it just seat adjustments?
Well, Bengal really is the most complicated case for seat adjustment, because Congress and left are close in Bengal, but they're fighting each other in Kerala. The issue really is whether all the three should come together and whether that will benefit the opposition, or is the opposition better off in a triangular conflict where you have the TMC, you have the Congress and the left, and the BJP. Because in the past it has been noted that if all the three were to come together, that would help the BJP, because possibly the left vote would transfer to BJP, unfortunately. So I think West Bengal is a very difficult proposition for the opposition. And interestingly, Mamata Banerjee said yesterday, when she announced that she's going to go it alone, that she thinks that whenever she goes to the opposition meetings of the India bloc, she finds that the Congress and the CPM are working together, and it is actually the CPM which seems to dominate the Congress. So given the huge conflict between TMC and TMC and the left, I think the possibility of an alliance of all the three there is difficult. But also, I think the Congress party and its state leadership is also making things difficult, because there are a lot of these issues which they shouldn't have to go public all the time. For example, Adil Ranjan Chaudhary doesn't waste a minute in making public his opposition to TMC and Mamata Banerjee. Likewise, in Bihar, K.C. Tyagi doesn't waste a minute. Almost on a daily basis, he's making statements against the Congress and other parties. So I think somewhere the opposition parties have to recognize that opposition unity is important, because, I mean, united they stand, divided they fall. But if they recognize this, then they have to also see that they should not be discussing the difficulties of opposition unity in public. Some of this has to be sorted out. For example, if you look at it, it's interesting that CPI and CPM generally don't go public about their differences with other opposition parties. And in a way, even the Congress is not doing that. But the other opposition parties seem to be doing that. And I think that is complicating matters. But as you said, perhaps the biggest challenge really for the opposition is Bengal, UP, and Punjab. But fortunately, in all these three states, you do have strong regional parties which can put up a good fight against the BJP.
And all political parties with a strong organization, strong base, who have done well in the state elections, as we all know. So thanks, Zoya. Thank you so much for this conversation and getting it together for us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Seema. It was wonderful. Thank you.